Okay, talking now with Marc Bradshaw from Strewn Winery. Thanks a lot for talking to me, Marc. Tried your Riesling down there. Fantastic stuff. Take us through the process. I know that we were talking about that Riesling is now coming on strong in Ontario. What made you decide to go with that Riesling? Why the 2007 and it hasn't been released until now?
Riesling is an absolute fantastic varietal. Like round the world, it's one of the top varietals, and here in Niagara, it's a real, powerhouse of a varietal. It's so versatile. You can do a boatload of things with it. Straight varietals, blendings, ice wines, everything in between. And one of the great things about Niagara Rieslings in particular is just the way that they age. They age gorgeously. And with the 07, we hadn't even released it, and when we were looking for a wine to bring for the aged wine event now, we pulled it out, we tried it, and we weren't really sure, but we were so stoked with it and so surprised at just how gorgeous it had evolved that we're like, bugger it, we really should bring it along and see what other people think.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Thank you.
Now, what is it about Riesling? It's funny, most people I think consider it almost like not a dessert wine, but leaning that way. This one, though, it had a great mouthfeel. It wasn't too sweet, but it was searingly dry on the finish, which I liked a lot.
Yep.
How do you make that happen?
You know what? One major thing I've learned here making wine in Niagara is just the vintage variation. It makes your wine tough, but it makes it bloody exciting, and it allows you the opportunity to make something like Riesling in different styles.
Right.
The 07 was a warmer climate, dry, hot, the acidity levels went down a bit, and you have the opportunity to make a dry wine. In other years, such as like 2011, where it wasn't as hot, the acidity levels held on in the fruit, and then for a beautiful balance you end up having a touch of residual sugar so that it still comes across refreshing but not too taxing with the acidity. So it's really, it's exciting, and you really sort of duck and weave and then choose your battles, and you won't be able to pull off a dry Riesling every year, but every now and then you get a great opportunity to, and 07 was one of them.
Fantastic. Now obviously with the accent, we've got an Australian boy right here.
Yep.
Before you came on camera, we were talking about the differences in being a winemaker in Australia versus Canada. What's the main difference as the way you see it?
Major difference I see is that vintage variation. It really keeps you on your toes as a winemaker here in Niagara, and it makes it fun and exciting. You don't have that consistency that a lot of other wine regions do have, and that's often what's allowed other wine regions around the world to sort of really specialise on sort of one specific varietal.
Right.
You look at 2011, which was a sort of a cooler year, versus 2012, which had a lot more heat, and Riesling's a perfect example. The 11 had a bit of residual sugar, beautifully balanced with a great crispy acidity, and the 12, the lower acidity, dry wine, still refreshing. But that really is the major difference. It's just keeping you on your toes, and everything you thought you knew or learned from the previous year just goes out the window, and you start from scratch and enjoy it.
Now, I know in Australia they're known for the big, bold reds like Syrah, but you were telling me that Riesling is huge there.
Yeah,
what's the difference in their Riesling, like a typical Australian Riesling versus Canadian?
The Rieslings I've been involved with and really enjoyed back home have been that more dry style Riesling. You don't lack your sunshine house back home. That's one thing about back home. And it's funny, we have a laugh because one of the major things back home that you do at the crush pad is add acid. It's basically one of the first things that you'll do to bring your acidity level up to sort of where you would like it to finish.
Okay.
And so you can often pull off a gorgeous bone dry Riesling back home.
Right.
But you're right, Aussie's doing some awesome aromatic whites, and especially in some of the cooler regions of back home, which cooler back home is sort of different from cooler here.
Yeah, 4 feet of snow tends to make it a little cooler here sometimes.
Yeah, we can still walk around like this in a cool climate region.
Yeah. Well, Marc, thanks a lot for talking, and we'll talk to you again soon, hopefully. Strewn Winery, best of luck.
Thank you. Cheers, mate. Cheers.